Hey, thanks for tuning in again to When Nature's Calling Outdoors. Today, we are gonna make a fully cured smoked deer ham, and it starts with that baby right there. 1 deer hindquarter. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna debone this. Now you can make this with the bone in. I personally like boneless. So I'm just wiping the hair off of it. So find that ball joint, figure out where that main leg is, and you'll know where it's at. Cut down 2 and along. It helps you guys sharpen a knife. Cut down 2 and along that main femur bone. You'll know when you're on it. A little backward pressure on the meat so it kind of falls away as you're cutting. But just follow that bone. And come up here. Cut around it. Get to where you can get your knife all the way underneath of that bone, all the way around the other side, and you can pick it up. So once we can get to there, we can just start folding this back. Around that knee. And this is going to be our ham. I'm going to get rid of this piece though because it's full of tendons and stuff. I'll just cut it off square. When you get in here, you need to get that scent gland out of this section of the meat. This would be this top round, in this top round. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back here, slice down, where I get to this gland right there, see it? I'm trying not to cut this up too much because I want this to stay together when I cure it and cook it. since I'm over here, go ahead and take this nasty gland out of here too. It's really hard. It's like a big mass of fat, but it's a scent gland is what it is. Get rid of that. Go ahead and clean this up while I'm in here. Be careful not to cut this completely apart. However, there is some silver skin in here that will be in your ham, but once it's cured, you can slice it up unless you're trying to serve it as a whole ham. Then just go ahead and you can skin that out of there right now. Okay. I thought okay. All right, now I'm gonna roll this back up. And I might trim up a little bit on the outside, but pretty much this is our ham. We're gonna tie this shut after I clean it up. So let me clean this up and I'll get right back to you. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie this all shut because I want it to stay together when it cooks, and then when I get it done cooking, it will completely stay together. You could have avoided this by leaving the bone in, but then you're gonna have a hard time getting that gland out of the meat. So I'm gonna fold the string over. I'm gonna wrap it around my finger so I have a hole. I'm gonna take that loop that I made and put it through the hole and pull it tight. So now I can set this here, take my hind quarter, and we'll pick it up. And I'm going to pull this tight and I'm going to tie it off. Now I'm going to do this several times. Probably another one here, another one here, and another one here. Okay, so you see I've got this strung up here and tied up so that it stays closed. And then I'm gonna wrap one around this way as well. But on the bottom of this, I wrapped and then wrapped, went through and wrapped and all the way across the bottom. So this thing doesn't move on the bottom, but it's gonna move on the top. Because I'm gonna keep this enclosed. Like that. So I'm going to pinch off that loop, come back underneath the string, and pull it tight to a knot. I'm going to put a couple knots in it because I don't want it to come apart. I'm going to do one more that'll go underneath of this. So create my string. Okay, so now we have a ham that is all tied up, and now we got to make the brine. So we're gonna make the brine. I'm gonna show you all the ingredients that go with it, and we'll go from there. So these are the ingredients you're gonna need to make that brine. We've got some molasses. You need 1 ounce of Morton's quick salt for every pound of meat you have. I had a 6-pound ham, so there's 6 ounces of salt in here. The recipe calls for 6 whole cloves of garlic, but I had 1 extra, so I thought, why not? And then here I have 1 tablespoon of mustard seed, 1 tablespoon of black powder, whole black pepper peppercorns, 4 bay leaves. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, but I have 3. You also, when you can use the molasses if you have enough, or you can use brown sugar. The recipe calls for 2 cups of molasses or brown sugar, but what I do is I use 2 cups of brown sugar and then I add molasses to it. So you need to start out with 2 gallons of water. I just want to make sure you understood that it was Morton's Tender Quick salt. It's not table salt. Make sure it says Tender Quick on it. So we got the 2 gallons of water on here. We're going to turn the heat on high. We are going to add all of the salt. 2 cups of brown sugar. That was graceful. All of the seasonings. All of the garlic. And good old molasses. How much? I don't know. Just guess. It's just a taste anyway. Now we're going to get this to a boil. Once it gets boiling, be sure you stir this quite often, but once it gets to a boil, we're going to shut it off. Then it has to cool down to room temperature before you can do anything else. If you put the ham in there while it's still hot and boiling, it's going to try and cook the ham, and that's not what we're after yet. So let's get this to temperature. You'll notice the color change. It'll be kind of a red tint to it. It will smell so good while it's cooking. And then we'll go from there. We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so this thing is about ready to start boiling, and you just occasionally keep stirring it to make sure that the solids have all dissolved, all the sugars and all the salts and everything. As soon as this starts to boil, I'm going to shut it off and get it off of the heat. We're going to let it cool off. But one thing I forgot to mention is that whenever you make this brine, be sure that you put this in a non-reactive pan. Stock pan, stainless steel or aluminum, nothing with Teflon, and we'll go from there. But what we're going to do is as soon as, like I said, as soon as this gets a boil, we're going to shut it off. We're going to let it cool down to room temperature. We're going to inject the ham, and then we're going to put it in this brine. We'll see you when this is all done. We're ready at that point. Our brine is done. As you can see, it's got a nice brown reddish colored tint to it. And we're going to inject this ham with this brine. Don't be stingy with it. We want to make sure that we are getting this brine and cure everywhere in this meat. And it's okay if it comes out in different places. Make sure you put that brine everywhere in there that you can. And then the next step, after we get done brining this, we're going to take this ham and we're going to put it down in this pot. We're going to take this pot and we're going to put it in the refrigerator for 7 to 10 days. We want all of those juices and all of those ingredients to penetrate all of this meat. Every day, go out there and turn your ham over once a day. You can do it in the morning, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you turn it over so that way you're knowing that all of those ingredients are getting all over the place. It's not sitting on the bottom of the pan. If your ham floats and it doesn't submerge down in the water, you want it completely covered. So you make sure that you got it completely in the brine. If it doesn't, find a glass bowl, a glass plate, something that's non-reactive, and set on top of it to try and weigh it down to hold it down in there. But we're going to leave it in there for 7 to 10 days. And then we're going to put it in the smoker. Okay, the 10 days is finally over. So
This meat has been sitting in the brine 10 days, and today is time to cook. So when I'm reaching here, the tongs, and grab a hold of that string so I can get a hold of it, get it out of there. Look at that. So I'm gonna pat this dry before I put it on the smoker. I got my hickory chips ready to go. We'll set your smoker to 200, 225 degrees. You're gonna leave it in there for 6 to 8 hours. You want this to reach an internal temperature of 150 degrees. And when I pull it out of the smoker, we'll show you what it looks like. But now's the test. See you after it's done. 225 degrees. Rolling smoke. Okay, reached 150 degrees. We pulled it out. We've let it rest for about an hour. And now I'm gonna cut it open. You can already see the juices coming out of that thing. Let me show you what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this in half because I'm actually gonna vacuum seal this half and maybe slice this half or vice versa. But you could serve this just the way it is. The end result is a nice pink fully cured ham. You can see where that smoke ring's in there. You can see that cure that's in there. I probably could have injected it a little bit more. But there's juices coming out of that. Look at that. Take a small slice. You gotta try it. Just like that. Man, that's good. Hey, so the full recipe, I'm gonna post the full recipe on the end of this in case you want to screenshot it and save it, or you can always share the video. But if you make that, people are gonna come back for more. I guarantee you'll make it again. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and share the video. Let other people know something else to do with their deer. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.